There is a saying that to see is to believe. While it seems as if our fast-paced and practical world doesn't have space for the supernatural and spooky, there are some things that make us think twice. Are hauntings and possessions just manifestations of our human fears? Or are they proof of other, darker, hidden worlds? Here are 5 compelling cases of ghosts and demons. Illustrator and author Adam Ellis, whose works used to appear on BuzzFeed, came out with a thread of tweets about Dear David in 2017. Who is Dear David? Well, Ellis reports that the ghost of a dead boy with a misshapen head appeared near his bed during an episode of sleep paralysis. For those of you who are not familiar with sleep paralysis, it is a state when you are conscious but unable to move or speak. During an episode, one might hallucinate. Though sleep experts conclude that sleep paralysis is just a sign that your body is not going through the stages of sleep smoothly and is not related to any sort of paranormal activity. The name David comes to Ellis in a dream. In the dream, he met a girl at a library who asked if he had met Dear David. She also told him that he can ask 2 questions, but never 3, because this will result in Dear David killing him. Being an author, Ellis's followers and people gripped by the thread dismissed Dear David as nothing more than fiction. At the time, Ellis was working on a book. A scary story would be a good way to attract people to his page, right? But it got weirder when his cats gathered at the door at midnight and appeared to investigate a suspicious entity outside. Ellis reports that he can sense movement outside his door. Then came the pictures. In one picture, the hazy figure of a little boy can be seen standing at the foot of Ellis's bed. The apartment is dim and the picture quality is grainy. But if you look closer, it is Dear David with his misshapen head. In another, he is sitting on an easy chair in what appears to be the living room. Ellis later claimed that Dear David is trying to kill him. In a dream, Dear David also said that he died because somebody pushed a heavy closet on him. Ellis has produced a lot of media surrounding the haunting of Dear David. There are videos, audio recordings, and Polaroid pictures. Ellis even documented waking up with a bruise on his arm, a telltale sign of a violent spirit, or even the beginnings of a demonic activity. After much documentation, Ellis was convinced that his apartment was haunted. To this day, he maintains that his experience with Dear David was real. Whatever the case may be, Adam Ellis and his encounter with Dear David is a haunting that gripped internet age. Let's move a little bit back in time with the story of Anneliese Michel. Born in 1952 in Bavaria, West Germany, Michel went through 67 exorcism rites between 1975 and 1976. She first had epileptic seizures for which she received medication. She also talked about seeing faces at various times during the day. Her friends and classmates at the university described her as a quiet, shy, and very religious person. In 1973, as she joined the University of Würzburg, she began to complain of voices telling her that she was damned and that she would rot in hell. As a result, she became depressed and even more religious and had hallucinations while praying. At this time, too, she was already in and out of psychiatric hospitals and prescribed numerous medications to battle psychosis and schizophrenia. When her family arranged a pilgrimage to San Damiano in Italy, it was reported that she could not stand walking on holy soil, claiming that it burned her feet. She also couldn't bear walking past religious icons because they sparkled so immensely that it burned her eyes. Michelle's condition only grew worse as time passed. Eventually, she began to develop erratic behavior, drank her own urine, ate insects, and harmed herself. Her family became desperate to help her, and, in their mind, medical intervention wasn't working as well as they had hoped. Her medications weren't taking effect, and soon, she began to see actual demons that growled and threw things. Her family decided that it was time for priestly assistance through exorcism. In 1975, a reluctant Bishop Joseph Strangle approved her family's numerous requests for an exorcism. Bishop Strangle assigned Father Arnold Renz and Father Ernst Alt with Michelle's case, but they were told to do the exorcism in absolute secrecy. From 1975 to 1976, the priests came almost twice a week to perform exorcisms. Michelle stopped eating and her body began to deteriorate. On July 1, 1976, after the priest declared that the demons Lucifer, Legion, Nero, Judas, Belial, and Cain were exorcised, Anneliese Michel passed away. She was only 23 years old and a pitiful 34 kilograms after the ordeal. Anneliese Michel's so-called possession produced one of the most frightening audios ever recorded. Listening to it will give you chills and nightmares, making it a convincing case of demonic possession. Her case has sparked controversy. Was it a true case of demonic possession or a tragic case of medical negligence? In 1906, a pious orphan of African descent, Clara Germana Selle, was said to be possessed by a demon. Germana Selle grew up in a convent, St. Michael's Mission, and was baptized. At 16, she was said to have been possessed by a demon because she entered an unholy pact. A crucial piece of information she later revealed to her confessor, Father Horner Erasmus. In the written account of an anonymous nun, Germana Selle performed impressive feats that proved she was possessed by a demon and not experiencing mental illness. Among these feats was that she could understand and speak many languages, including Polish and Norwegian. She demonstrated clairvoyance by revealing the transgressions of people she did not have any contact with. She was capable of extraordinary aggression and strength, beating and hurling nuns across about the convent rooms. Germana Selle, like Anneliese Michel, could also not stand being in the same room with religious objects. It was also reported that her cries had a savage and bestial quality that shocked those around her. The nun described Germana Selle's voice as such. No animal had ever made such sounds, neither the lions of East Africa nor the angry bulls. At times, it sounded like a veritable herd of wild beasts orchestrated by the Dark Lord had formed a hellish choir. She was also said to have levitated 5 feet in the air, sometimes vertically and sometimes horizontally. Her skin boiled upon contact with holy water, which also seemed to take her out of her possessed state. Her body also became very flexible, and it was reported that she could slither across the floor like a snake. On September 11, 1906, an exorcism was performed by Father Horner and a Reverend Mansueti, which lasted for 2 days, after which she was reported to have been saved and the demon possessing her was banished. She lived another uneventful 6 years of her life, but in 1912, at the age of 22, she died of heart failure. Some people speculate that she entered another unholy pact. Her life and exorcism have been partly forgotten, and it seems that we will never know the full origins and final fate of Clara Germana Selle. eBay is a great place to get deals and to buy vintage stuff, but it is also known for its market of cursed objects, attracting real buyers and curious enthusiasts. Among these is the supposedly haunted painting, The Hands Resist Him, which became an urban legend and sinister internet sensation in February 2000. The Hands Resist Him is a painting that features a little boy and a doll standing before a glass-framed door full of tiny handprints. The space beyond the door is painted deep black, implying a dark space or perhaps the void itself. The little boy is wearing a turquoise t-shirt and olive gray shorts. His features are imperceptible, and it even appears that his face is more doll-like. His doll, on the other hand, is wearing a pale gray dress and has black, beady eyes. The artist who created the painting, Bill Stoneham, says that the little boy represents him when he was a child. The door full of handprints and the dark space beyond it represented a place of dreams and possibilities separate from the dream world. The doll was the little boy's guide through that space. But why is the title The Hands Resist Him? There seems to be more than meets the eye with Stoneham's painting. The painting, created in 1972, first appeared in an exhibition at a Los Angeles gallery. It was purchased by actor John Marley, known for his role as Jack Woltz, a film mogul in the movie The Godfather. Marley died after an open-heart surgery in 1984 at the age of 77, after which the painting fell into the possession of an anonymous California couple. In 2000, the couple put the painting up for sale on eBay. The description for the painting implied that it was cursed. Among the things written by the couple was that the figures in the painting moved during the night and would leave the canvas to roam the room where it was displayed. The couple even claims to have pictures of the doll threatening the boy at gunpoint, which caused the boy to attempt to leave the canvas. But Stoneham, the painter, dismisses what was thought to be a gun to be nothing more than dry cell batteries and a tangle of wires. Stoneham also recalls that the owner of the gallery where The Hands Resist Him first appeared and a critic from the LA Times who reviewed it in the 70s both died within 1 year of coming in contact with the painting. With an initial bid of $199, the painting eventually received 30 bids and was sold for $1,025 to Perceptions Gallery in Michigan. Considered one of the scariest places in America, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky was created in 1926 to battle tuberculosis that ravaged the country in the early 20th century. Tuberculosis, also known as TB, is a disease that has been mostly eradicated in the world. Among its signs is coughing up blood and deterioration of the lungs and entire respiratory system. People with TB have difficulty breathing and often die in a few years. It was also a disease that could be passed easily from one person to another. The building known as Waverly Hills was originally built in 1910 and has gone through many transformations until its closure in 1982. So much paranormal activity has been reported to occur at Waverly Hills. Why is Waverly Hills so full of ghosts and negative energy? Historians and paranormal investigators say that the sanatorium, or hospital, was used more as a facility where family members could leave and isolate their sick loved ones. Here, the sick were treated to experimental and often fatal medical treatments. Among these so-called treatments were putting balloons in a patient's lungs to expand them and let more air in. Sometimes ribs and muscles were also removed to achieve the same result. Sunlight and fresh air was also prescribed to patients, and they would be exposed to the outdoors no matter what the season. There are said to be photos of TB patients at Waverly Hills lounging on chairs outdoors while fully covered in snow. From 1911 to 1955, there were an estimated 6,000 deaths within the walls of Waverly Hills Sanatorium. During the Second World War, which occurred from 1939 to 1945, the sanatorium also took care of injured soldiers, but it is reported that most of these soldiers were so badly wounded that most of them only lasted about a week before succumbing to their injuries. In 1961, Waverly Hills became Woodhaven Geriatric Sanitarium, where it is reported that abuse and unusual experiments were done to its elderly and often helpless patients. Since its closure in 1982, the building that housed a hospital, Waverly Hills, and Woodhaven Geriatrics has changed so many owners. Its history of pain, disease, and mad scientist levels of experimentation on human bodies has attracted paranormal investigators and urban explorers. No doubt, it has also inspired some urban exploration/found footage horror movies. The world is strange and full of mysteries. Do you think these tales are proof of the supernatural, or just an indication of our imaginative yet fearful minds? Let us know in the comments below.